good morning. Thank you all for joining Luxon's webinar, Ready, Set, NetSuite, a demonstration of NetSuite ERP. In today's webinar, we will give you a quick introduction to Luxent and NetSuite, followed by a demonstration of NetSuite, and we will close out with NetSuite pricing and packaging. If you have any questions, please put them in the panel, in the question and answer panel, and we will get to them at the end of the webinar. With that, I would like to introduce you to, oops, I forgot to move the slides forward. Introduce you all to the Luxent team here. We have Vivian Kina, the president and CEO of Luxent, who comes to us with 20 plus years of ERP experience. Ben Katerberg, the director of the NetSuite practice and chief solutions architect. Ben comes to us with 10 plus years of ERP experience. And myself, Brooke Geipus, the director of marketing. All right, with that, I will turn it over to Vivian Kina.
Thanks, Brooke. I'll just give you a little overview on Luxent. Thank you all for participating. Luxent's been around for quite some time. We're celebrating our 14th year here in Southern California. We have resources throughout the U.S. And have really focused primarily in the manufacturing and distribution space. We're called a solution partner within NetSuite community, and I can give you a little bit background on that a little bit later, but primarily we do everything from help companies with the selection of NetSuite all the way to implementing, supporting, developing integrations, and then ongoing maintenance of it. Our consultants, I think we're more of a boutique firm, I would say, really focused on the business process side of helping customers improve their business processes and then align NetSuite. And all of our consultants have around its average tenure of experience with the NetSuite solution. ERP selection and purchasing, I think that's where we shine the most, trying to help companies on that side and really making the selection of NetSuite. And then we have a full integration team because NetSuite has a lot of third-party solutions that work really well with the product and other solutions that companies need just specific to their business. All of our consultants are certified, and some of them have vertical certifications in specific areas. And then we focus primarily, like I said, on the manufacturing and distribution side, but really startups are common with us and just the whole mid-market industry. You can go forward. NetSuite's been around for quite some time now, right? Kind of noted as the first cloud ERP and growing crazily. NetSuite is the kind of the solution from an ERP to look at, considering if you're moving out of the solution that you're currently on, or a startup that needs something a little bit more robust. NetSuite's in 217 countries and growing in that side too. 36,000 customers. That number keeps growing every time we do this presentation, and 6,000 logos in the last 12 months. So hard to beat those numbers. It's a really nice solution that kind of fits a lot of different verticals. You can go forward. I like this slide because I think it shows the breadth and horizontal strength of the product. A lot of customers aren't just doing one thing. They're not just a manufacturer. They're a manufacturer and they do some service, or they do some, retail. And they're not a distributor only. They're doing distributing and manufacturing. So a lot of them cross different industries. And I think that's what happens with an ERP is the challenge is that the ERP fits one part of the business, but not the whole business. What you'll find with NetSuite is the breadth of the product is very large and fits in many different industries. Many of these, I think these solutions and these logos you'd find and are familiar to you. You can go forward. With that, I think we're all here for the demonstration. I do appreciate you coming. What we've started these demonstrations on a monthly basis, really to give companies an opportunity to go and see the solution without someone, having to set up a meeting with any partner or NetSuite Direct just to really get an understanding, is NetSuite the right solution for us? So hopefully you get that today. And if you do have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or anybody else on the team. With that, I'll introduce Ben Katerberg, our Chief Solution Architect. So thank you. You can take it from here, Ben.
All right. Thank you, Vivian. So as we get into the product for NetSuite, I just want to kind of touch base on a couple items here that I think are going to be interesting to any organization who is looking at an ERP that is easy to kind of stand up over a shorter period of time. So NetSuite, what they had done was they actually built out several different industry vertical solutions. And within each one of these industries, there are all kinds of tools that are pre-built with configurations, such as key performance indicators, dashboards, pre-configured roles, pre-configured workflows and forms in the system, as well as pre-built connectors and suite apps that allow you to easily just kind of stand up an ERP solution in just a handful of months versus some other ERPs, which they take a lot of configuration, a lot of customization, and sometimes you're running a full year, 2 years even during an ERP implementation. So NetSuite was really built for a lot of the industries that you see on the left-hand side. And when you purchase NetSuite kind of day one, right out of the box, you theoretically could stand up NetSuite and start using it right then and there. Obviously, we're going to want to run through more detailed requirements with every one of our clients to make sure that the product is configured exactly how they want it. But you have thousands and thousands of hours that have already been configured ahead of time specific to the different verticals. The other thing with NetSuite ERP is it's modular. So you may be a startup and only want just financials maybe initially, and then you want to start adding on inventory management. Then you want to add on CRM and sales functionality. You want to add a suite commerce site. So it's very modular from the sense that you can start off really, really small and you can scale up very, very quickly. And some of the features that allow you to scale very quickly are the ability to set up multiple subsidiaries and continue to add on more subsidiaries. It's enabled for multi-language, multi-currency, and it's got a lot of pre-built tax compliance features as well for different countries. Some of the financial features in NetSuite. So NetSuite was originally built as NetLedger, which was purely a financial system. So financials really are at its core. Within the financial features, you can get other modules kind of plugged in, such as more advanced revenue management features. There is a full financial planning module with full kind of modeling analysis that kind of runs on an Oracle platform. All of the reporting, the financial reporting in NetSuite, it is all on demand, real time. So I can create a transaction right now and then immediately see what's the financial impact on my financial reports just from receiving, goods into my warehouse or shipping them out the door. Posting a journal entry. All of those reports are real time. There's no business warehouse in the background that you have to rely on, kind of 1 day delay. This is all real time reporting. And even within the financial modules, plenty of other plug-in features like fixed assets and payment management. And all built kind of on the same global platform that allows multi-currency, multiple subsidiaries, multi-language, as well as that complete tax engine. Some of the other ERP features, as I mentioned, it is very modular. There is full order management, procurement, inventory, your whole supply chain management features. For those manufacturers out there, there's production features where you can utilize work orders and pre-planning with scheduling for your production. There is a fully built CRM solution to help you manage anywhere from leads and prospecting all the way through building your pipeline and having that pipeline influence your forecasts for planning. There's a warehouse management plugin, as well as some project management features to help manage the profitability of projects within several different verticals. What I want to show today, I kind of built out a little process flow of what I intend to show today. The process flow is really going to kind of start first with the review of planning recommendations. NetSuite has a very robust MRP platform that's built into it. I'm not going to jump into all the nitty-gritty details of how the system is making these recommendations, but certainly if you have more detailed questions on that, we can set up something individually with your organization to review your requirements and needs. From those planning recommendations, we're going to generate purchase orders from the planning recommendations. And once we have purchase orders generated, we can start receiving inventory. As we start things like receiving inventory, I'm going to jump into financial impacts, because one of the great things about NetSuite ERP is there is the operational flow, and the operations flow into the associated financial statements automatically. After we receive some inventory, we may replenish other locations' inventory. So if you have more than one location, you may be used to transferring from one location to the other, especially with a hub and spoke model or stock out issues. And then we'll also jump into the order process, the fulfillment of orders, a full kind of pick, pack, and shipping process. And that's basically the general flow that we'll walk into today. Obviously, different business verticals, there's lots of different things we could incorporate into even just this small generic process. Things like quality management and inspections. We could plug in more manufacturing features to show planned production, all kinds of additional things that we'd be happy to share any kind of personalized demonstrations with you after this session. So with that, I'm going to start sharing my screen here. So as we start getting into the system, just start noticing the look of each landing page. It's been specially designed for each role in the organization. So right now I'm logged into a senior executive role I can see on my upper right-hand side of the screen here. If I hover over this, I can see all of the other roles that are assigned to my employee record. So I have other roles such as AP analyst, AR analyst, CFO, controller, customer service, right? All of these different roles within an organization I have assigned to myself, but each one has its own kind of pre-configured dashboard. You'll notice this is just a regular browser page. I'm running my Microsoft Edge browser at the moment. It supports Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, every web browser you can run, and just pull up a netsuite.com web page. You log in with your credentials. You may have two-factor authentication set up where maybe you get a text message or some other validation to make sure you are who you say you are for security purposes. And then it'll bring you to your kind of primary landing page based on whatever role or roles that you have defined. In this case here, I mentioned this is the senior executive space. And on my homepage, you'll see several things such as reminder portlets. These are typically used to drive your work lists or your workflow. So you'll see several reminders here like late sales orders. When we get into a supply chain manager's role, you may see things like I have 10 items to order because that's what MRP is telling me I need based on my MRP requirements, which is telling the procurement manager then to action some of those reminders. You'll see here there's these dashboard tiles. A lot of these really are just shortcuts. So there are specific kind of shortcuts to pull up specific reports or areas of NetSuite. Each one of these tiles here will bring me to one of these like balance sheet reports. Here's an income statement report. I just click on these tiles and it opens up in a new tab. This is full kind of web browser based, so I can have multiple tabs open at once. I can work on multiple different things and I don't necessarily lose the work when I kind of navigate to other tabs. So kind of first and foremost, if I'm looking at a balance sheet report, this is kind of my home base view of my balance sheet report, but I could clearly customize this look and feel to whatever my organizational needs are and make that my organization's home balance sheet landing page. Any one of these reports here, you'll see I have a breakdown of my cash ledgers, for instance, or my inventory. I can click into the numbers within the report and it's going to break it down into more detail for me. So in this case, I went into my inventory asset value, and under here I can see these are individual transactions and associated values of those transactions that built up the value of my 1200 inventory account. And even from here, I can drill all the way into the number itself, and it takes me directly to the specific transaction. So just from that audit standpoint, I can go from high-level financial analysis all the way down to individual transactions to show me, hey, this balance looks a little off. What's the makeup of this balance? And I can find transactions that might be maybe done incorrectly, or these were just unique transactions that were anomalies, right? So I'm going to go back to my home page here. I'm going to show a couple other things with some of these reports. I'm going to go to the balance sheet report again. So this is kind of my base view of my balance sheet. I've got it defaulted right now to just show me my balance sheet through this period, but obviously I can control through dynamic date filters when I want to view my balance sheet as of. I have multiple subsidiaries here, so I can do a filter to show me just my UK subsidiaries balance sheet, or China or Germany. If I wanted to do pivots, I have the column pivot option, so I could run my balance sheet by location and then just refresh here. And now I can see here, for instance, my inventory asset account. I can see the balance by location. So I've got $532.50 worth of inventory in Blastomatic location, and $1,800 of assets in Boston. If I wanted to do other kinds of pivots, right, by subsidiary, for instance, I can run a pivot of my balance sheet by subsidiary to show the breakdown of my asset accounts, balance sheet account, any balance sheet accounts here by subsidiary. So I've got Canada, Germany, I've got my US, and I also have an elimination subsidiary, by the way. So if you do have multi-subsidiary, you can set up elimination subsidiaries to kind of eliminate the revenue and cost from intercompany transactions, for instance. So that's a balance sheet report here. I'm going to expand my date range on my income statement. Let's see what we got on our income statement here. I can do a pivot based on product classification. So I can see here's my total sales in this particular date range. But now if I do a pivot by product class and refresh my income statement, I can see more details of those sales. Here's sales by this computing and peripherals product class, medical devices. And once again, any one of these, I can drill into the details and find individual transactions that make it up. So a couple invoices made up these sales for my peripherals. You'll see here I've got some KPIs defined for my executive role. Any one of these KPIs here, I can set up and change out some of my date comparison ranges. So right now I'm looking at this period, right? I can have it look at a whole fiscal year at a time or a quarter. So at any point I can come in here and update the range, the comparison ranges, and then just refresh. I can have it generate pop-up graphs as well. And this KPI happens to have a couple highlighted specific measurables, but those are all configurable as well. Navigation shortcuts. Because my senior executive might be interested in several different aspects of my business, I have like a sales and marketing view. So the senior executive can look at different KPIs that are specific to sales and marketing. Maybe they're concerned around expenses, so I have an expenses dashboard as well. And this is all within my same senior executive role. I have board metrics. This is just another view. So these are the important board metrics that I have on my own specific dashboard. And once again, these metrics, they're all real time. If I'm looking at this period and I start invoicing customers, I may be generating more and more and more revenue, and I can just refresh my browser or the page and it'll update based on the latest data that's flowing into my ERP. If I flip over to another role like my sales manager, I'm going to have all kinds of reports that are pre-configured for my sales manager role. Some of these reports might be looking at my lead kind of pipeline, some of my conversion rates of leads to prospects. I can look at lost customer KPIs, sales values per customer over time. I can look at opportunities. I can look at my forecasts and reports. I can run a forecast versus quota report. Sales orders by customer. If any one of these reports are just very common reports that I want to see all the time, I can add any one of these reports to my dashboard so that I don't necessarily always have to even navigate to them. Complete ranges here. And then within any report, you'll see obviously you can alter date ranges to show different kinds of data from these report queries. You'll also notice here, I have kind of parent-child, grandchild relationships. I can drill up and down based on the number of levels here. I can generate graphs. You just hit the little graph button and it's going to show me a graphical view of this report. I can export to Excel with a click of a button, export to a PDF or CSV or a Word document. These are all very easy export options, just one button click and it'll download in this version for me. I can print it out. I can actually set it up on a schedule to run. And I can set the schedule up to run, more than once. I can run it weekly on this day at this time, and I can copy all of these employees. I can populate a message. I can make it an attachment itself. So all of the reporting in NetSuite, very, very easy to pull data out of NetSuite and share it with groups of people, either regularly with a schedule or just ad hoc. And then any one of these reports as well, I can hit the little customize button and start adding other options here. So maybe I've got a sales orders by customer summary. Maybe I want to pull in fields that are on my customer record. Like maybe I have a customer category, right? Maybe I have like 5 different categories of customers and I want to see how the sales look by that customer category. I can search the different fields and find, here's customer category name, add it to my report, preview. Now I can see here I've got a customer with the industrial category tag to it. And I can start doing things like summarizing by customer category. And all it takes is just, customization and look up and find your fields. And then just add them to the report. And then you can preview. When you like how it looks, then you can save and make it your favorite, or add it to a shortcut. So that's just a little bit about the basic kind of navigation. Most of NetSuite users will set up their dashboards to have all the navigation that they need here. Otherwise, it's point and click. So there's no transaction codes that you have to memorize. It's just hovering over menu pads and then clicking when I want to get to that menu, or clicking on my reminders or my on-screen fields or shortcuts. Now I'm going to flip over to my administrator role, just so I can kind of run through multiple process areas all at once, so I don't have to worry about any permissions kind of holding me back from running certain operations here, as just part of this end-to-end demo. So where we're going to start, as I mentioned during our slide deck for the process flow, is I want to start with generating purchase orders from planning recommendations. So if I was signed into a supply chain manager role, I'm going to have a reminder that says I have 4 items to order. Click into the reminder here. And this is where I can see, based on different planning methods, what the system is recommending that I purchase and when I purchase them. So I have this time phase planning method, where I want to have a certain amount of product at certain dates to meet certain customer demands. I may have reorder points where I just always want to keep on hand X number of product at all times. And once I trigger a reorder point, this serves as the reminder for procurement to automatically purchase for me. Planned orders, this would be MRP making recommendations for me based on my demand requirements and where I have short supply. So each one of these tabs just represents a different planning method. So what I'm going to do here is move my date back just a little bit. So I'm going to grab maybe just the last 2 options. You'll notice this is for the exact same item, same vendor, but different receipt dates. So if I check both of these options and hit submit, it's going to actually generate one PO for me with two different lines with two different expected receipt dates. NetSuite does have the ability for me to just hit the checkbox and run all of my recommendations and auto create all my POs for me based on planning. So that's typically what your day-to-day procurement manager is doing, is reviewing the recommendation, checking the box, and having all purchase orders created all right up front there. And the system's going to attempt to consolidate, when it's the same vendor, up to 250 lines at once. And that number is configurable as well. So in this case, just these two options. I'm going to submit. NetSuite in the background is running a consolidation engine. And what it's doing is it's looking at the number of lines and which preferred vendors I'm buying those from, and making purchase orders based on consolidating those lines for vendors. So I'm just going to hit my little on-screen refresh button to see my status update here. And I can see it is complete. And here is my purchase order number. Now note that I do not currently have an approval process configured, but it is very common that some organizations may create purchase order approval workflows where it may have to go through one or multiple roles for approval. In this case, it's auto approved and it's just in a pending receipt status. So I can see here, here's the two items that I'm purchasing. It's the same item, two different quantities. See my rate. I have different statuses of the item lines. I can see here, here's the on-hand quantity. I have none of this item on hand right now. I can see none of it's available. I can see I haven't received any. I haven't billed any of this. But I can see here there is some allocated demand. Now, what is allocated demand? I have a sales order that needs 10 of this item. Sales order, obviously I can't ship it because I don't have any, but I created a purchase order and it has enough quantity that it's actually allocating. Before I ever receive it, it's saying I should be setting aside 10 of these units for a sales order that I have for demand for this product. So once I go to receive, actually, I'll show you the inverse view. If I open up my sales order separately, this allocation, allocated demand, allocated supply works both ways. So on my purchase order, I can see which orders this quantity is destined for. On my sales order, I can actually see where am I getting the quantities for. I don't have them in stock. Where are they coming from? It's this purchase order, and I'm expecting to receive it on this date. So that way, my sales team, if they have access to NetSuite, they can look up and see, hey, when is my customer going to have their product shipped to them? I can see what's in the pipeline. Even if I don't have it in the warehouse, or if I do have it on the warehouse, I have all that full visibility in NetSuite. So I'm going to go ahead and receive my purchase order. And let's say maybe I'm just receiving a partial. So I'm receiving 12 of this line. I'm not receiving this line at all because that one was future dated. NetSuite does have a full warehouse management solution. So if you have scanners, handhelds, you can use your handheld and you don't have to click into some of these details directly in the NetSuite interface. You can just use your handheld. You can scan barcodes and then just specify this purchase order, this quantity for this line, and this bin is where I'm putting it. So let's say I'm receiving 10 into a good status in this bin. And now this other bin, when I received them, some of them didn't look so good. I'm putting them into a quarantine. So receiving a total of 12, 10 are good, 2 maybe somebody should look at. I don't want customers to be sent those until they go through a check. Right? I have my item receipt. This is my first financial impact. This is where I can see the increase to my inventory asset. And then I have an accrual where I'm awaiting the vendor bill here for a three-way match. If I pull up my item card, you can see on my item master record, in my inventory detail, I can see where this is. They're both in the San Francisco warehouse. I have 10 of them that are in a good status in this bin. I have 2 of them still in San Francisco, but in this bin, and it's in a quarantine status. Some of the other things that you could do in NetSuite as well on any item receipt, there is the concept of landed costs. So if I did receive a bill from a freight forwarder, I could actually tag this item receipt with a specific freight cost and duty cost and link it to that bill. So I don't have any bills out here now, but this is how I would operate a landed cost. I could say it was $10 of freight, allocate based on quantity or value or weight. And then when I save this, it's going to actually increase the amount of my value of my asset with landed costs. Just getting a message saying the item I'm receiving does not have landed costs, because you can configure one or many items to have landed costs. And that's to kind of protect you against these items we want to include landed costs, these ones don't. The next step of my procurement process, I would typically receive a vendor bill. And then on my vendor bill, once I submit that, there's going to be a three-way match process automatically in the background. And it'll tell me between my purchase order quantity and rate, what I received, and what I'm being billed, do they match or am I out of whack somewhere? So in this case, I only received 12, a quantity of 12. I did not receive the second line at all. So if my vendor is billing me based on what they actually sent me, this is how it would look. Or maybe they said they sent me 15, I only received 12. I could put in 15 here on my vendor bill. Save my vendor bill. And then assuming I have a three-way match workflow configured here, that vendor bill may need to go through a set of approval rules for somebody to look and follow up with that vendor to say, hey, you billed me for 15, I only got 12, what happened here? And either your AP manager might just let it go through and approve it, and knowing you're kind of out of whack with a three-way match, or perhaps they make a recommendation that the vendor resubmits a proper bill based on what we actually received. On the inventory management side. So in this case, I have a sales order for the specific component that I ordered in the proper location. But if you are running multiple locations in NetSuite, one thing that you may have to monitor is, do I have the right inventory in the right location? So NetSuite has what's called a replenish location by inventory transfer or replenish location by transfer order. The difference really is one is more instantaneous. I want the system to immediately reflect this inventory that was in, let's say, US and Boston. Make it show in San Francisco. And it's literally just a one step. My inventory asset moves from Boston to San Francisco in one step. Or I can do it as a transfer order. And that requires kind of a pick, pack, and ship from one warehouse location and then a receipt in the other location. So there's kind of some transit time. And it serves as kind of those warehouse triggers. So NetSuite supports both. In this case, I'm going to do the shortcut. I'm going to do the replenish a location by inventory transfer, which does not require a separate kind of pick, pack, and ship and then receipt on the other end. So here I can see this is automatically showing me any locations that I need to replenish where they're short, where I have inventory in Boston, but I don't have enough in San Francisco. So I can see here, there's the solar powered attic fan. I have 24 that I need in my preferred stocking level. And I have 50 of them from the available in Boston. So on my inventory detail, I'm just going to say, pull it from this bin. 24. I'm pulling 24 of this solar attic fan from this bin in Boston. And saving. And what this is going to do is it's going to create an inventory transfer transaction in NetSuite. And you'll see here it's moving from this asset account to the same asset account, but credit from Boston, debit in San Francisco to move the value of my inventory asset between locations. And this also will reflect on my physical inventory as well, in addition to that financial asset move. So now when I pull up my assembly item record inventory detail, I can see here now I have 24 on hand and available in San Francisco. I still have the 26 because I had a total of 50 previously in Boston. And that's going to be reflective of any one of the financial reports as well as my inventory reports. I have a current inventory snapshot. All of these reports are updated in real time to reflect that. Last thing I'm going to show you here is kind of the fulfillment process. So in NetSuite, there are lots of different transactions happening all at once. So it's hard to always keep track of, do I have enough for this sales order? Do I have enough for this sales order? NetSuite's automatically running allocation for you based on different allocation strategies and telling you which orders are ready to ship and which ones you don't have enough for. So if I go to generate my picking ticket, I'm going to open up my picking ticket queue. And I can set a filter to say, only show me all items that are fully committed to orders. What this means it probably most likely is going to be like a ship complete scenario. So maybe I just want to ship complete, and I can see here, here's the list of San Francisco orders where I can ship complete. Now you'll note that some of these are sales orders, some of these are transfer orders. It's the same kind of picking ticket queue. If I have a transfer order, it's a planned transfer from one location to the other. Those are going to show up in San Francisco if I'm shipping it out of San Francisco. But the idea is I would mark maybe all at once, and this is my whole pick ticket queue for the day. Or I can just kind of ad hoc pick a couple of these, print. And then I have, here's one. It's for this item. 2 were ordered, 2 are committed here. Here's another one. This one uses bins. And I can see here, I need 3 of these items, and it's in this bin. So this is my picking ticket queue where here's the trigger for my warehouse to go to this bin and grab 3 of them. After I print my picking tickets, then I'm going to generate my fulfillment record in NetSuite. So you have the option in NetSuite of having fulfillment records with a separate pick, pack, and ship process. So this screen kind of looks very similar to the picking ticket queue, where I can set my location and I can filter based on all items fully committed. And then here I'm setting my status to picked. So I can either select multiple and submit, or I can just hit the fulfill option on the one line. It's going to take me into a linked fulfillment record for this sales order. And then I can specify any details in here. Those details might be how many from each bin, if the items are bin enabled. Or maybe I'm using serialized or lot controlled inventory. So I would say this serial number, this lot number, if I'm in maybe a food and beverage or a medical device vertical here. So in this case, this appears to be a serialized item. It was in this bin. I need 1 of those. Here's another serialized item. Need 1 of those. The next one. And the next one. So now I have 4 serialized items. I needed 4. And I'm setting my status to picked. Now, just a note, if you have NetSuite configured for separate pick, pack, and ship processes, there is no financial impact to a fulfillment record being created with a picked or a packed status. Right, so I successfully generated my fulfillment. If I want to see recent records, I hover over this little 3/4 clock and I can go right to that fulfillment record I just saved. That's anytime you're navigating and you want to go back to something you saw recently. Here's my recent records, and I can see at least the last 10, and I can go to all recent records to see even further beyond that. But here's my fulfillment record in a picked status. If I check my GL impact here, you'll see posting is set to no, because as I mentioned, no financial impact until I actually ship it out the door. So it's in a picked status. I have the option, I can print a packing slip and then put it in a box. So I, just like you saw me go to that print queue, I could print a packing slip, put it in the box. I can design and set up packages. So maybe this was sent in 4 different packages. I could configure 4 packages here and set a tracking number. If I'm using UPS, FedEx, USPS, NetSuite does have pre-built connectors that come right out of the box with those parcel trackers, where it can actually auto quote the freight for you, as well as print any labels through the UPS, FedEx, or USPS channels. So from here, let's say I printed my packing slip. I can mark it as packed. I can also do this in bulk, right? Maybe I print all of these packing slips, I pack them all, and then I could do this in bulk. And then checking GL impact, still posting set to no. Once I mark it as shipped, that's when I see the physical inventory drop off. Just getting a message about my shipping destination here. But once I run my shipment and I actually ship it, as I mentioned, that's the point when I'm actually going to hit my GL impact. My physical quantity is going to be reduced, as well as the asset value is going to be decremented from inventory. And then I'm going to hit my cost of goods so that I can see how much revenue and cost of goods and that margin I get from this individual sale. So I know we're running a little bit short on time here. I'm going to pass it back over to our CEO, Vivian Kina, to kind of close us out here.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. That was a pretty packed full demo there. Hopefully you guys saw what you wanted. And if there's anything else you'd like to see, please don't hesitate to give us a call. There's lots more features and functions that's available that we weren't able to show you, but that was a great demo. You can go to the next slide. I'll go through the pricing and just, what that kind of in general, what it's all about. I'll do that pretty quickly. So working with a partner. So should you work with NetSuite Direct, or should you work with a Luxon or a partner similar to Luxon? So there's a number of partners out there. We're called a solution partner, which means we actually can sell the NetSuite solution and do the implementation and then support you long term. So we're more of a full service partner. I think the difference really is we offer customers the expertise within their industry. So we offer that business expertise that really many companies need to improve their processes or align their processes effectively to NetSuite, and so they can use the product effectively. And then we're there for you long term, right? We're the resources that are selling and positioning the product for you with NetSuite. We're fighting for that really good discount on the solution for you, so that we're experienced at doing that. We work with NetSuite every day. We work real hard on behalf of our customers to get you the best discounts and to protect you on your contracts and to only sell you what you need when you need it. So not overselling you, because we're there for the long term. We're there for the initial sale, and we're there to help you grow and extend the product as you grow, which is really what customers need to effectively use NetSuite within their environments. It's a large solution. It has a lot of cool features and functions, but many of them, you really want to walk before you run and you start to use the product and then slowly extend it out as your business can consume it. So we try to guide you and help you through that. And then we also help you through the negotiation process with NetSuite. So we're handling both pieces for you. And just building that long-term partnership, whatever you need. When do companies need NetSuite? Lots of different answers to this question. Anyone from, you're using QuickBooks today and you're feeling the pain of maybe you need more stronger financials or reporting needs, or maybe you're managing your inventory in Excel, or you're growing and you're doing a lot of things manually, that's when you start to need an ERP system. That's when you start to look at a product like NetSuite. You're doing the inventory set and supply chain. You're on a legacy solution. There's a lot of companies that are on older solutions today, and they're hiring, and the new users coming aboard don't really want to be on the old solution. So hiring people, it's a lot more attractive to be on a product and easier to learn on a solution like NetSuite. And also it's easier in the cloud, right? You're able to be mobile, you're able to see it from anywhere. It's just a solution that makes more sense and easier to maintain. You're not doing those heavy, expensive upgrades every few years. And you're not in a pool of resources that you're dependent on that's actually getting smaller and smaller as a legacy product, continues to kind of get older in time. So there's less people to support that solution ongoing. There's lots of people out there that can support NetSuite, both Luxent and many, many companies out there that you can choose from to help guide you and grow with you. And just expanding internationally. NetSuite does a lot internationally. So as you grow and internationally grow, NetSuite can be that solution. Oh, go ahead, Brooke, I know you're. Packaging. Okay, this is what everybody wants to know. So the starting price for users is $120 per user. And I know there's this kind of feeling out there that sometimes NetSuite's too expensive. NetSuite doesn't lose opportunities on price. So we will work with you to make it fit within your budget. We will work really hard to try to make it fit. And if it doesn't fit, you'll get very, very aggressive pricing, and it will fit as you get bigger. So usually we can fit somebody under 10 users in a very aggressive package. It's called the starter pack. And then there's a mid-market standard pack, and then there's a premium. I will tell you that the modules and the user pricing, we can get very creative on. And there's a lot of financing. So there's zero interest financing. There's a lot of other creative things we can do to try to make it fit. We have companies that are under 10 users that didn't want to extend their employee count because employees are expensive. So instead of them growing employees, they brought in automation, and they were able to keep their employee count down and justify the cost of the software by not having to hire as many employees and getting the automation for their business that they needed. So there's lots of ways to justify it, and we're happy to go through that justification with you. So that is a lot really quickly. If you want more information, if you want a demo tailored specifically to you, if you want to learn more about the pricing or us to do an assessment of your specific needs, we are happy to do all of those things for you. Just reach out to any of us on the call and you'll have our contact information. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Brooke, and thank you.
Thank you everyone for attending today. We hope that you got everything you were looking for out of this webinar. And like Vivian mentioned, if there was a question that you had or a specific feature or module that you were interested in learning a little bit more about, please reach out to us at sales@luxent.com and we can answer any questions that you may have. Have a great day, everyone.